Welcome to TMZ Live. 4 months after Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, there is a new anonymous tip, one that has sparked a very active search for Nancy Guthrie's body. And the search is happening in Mexico because the organization that got this anonymous tip, which they describe as a chilling anonymous tip, that tip led them to start searching an area where they clearly, according to this tip, think that Nancy Guthrie's body may be located. So the organization is called Buscando Corazones Nogales. And Nogales is a town just over the border from Arizona. And this organization said clearly that they have some information that led them to start searching. What I find really interesting about what they have reported about their search is that they have already, in this area, they said, found dozens of grave sites. Now, they do not say that they have found anything that leads them to think they found Nancy Guthrie, but they are continuing to search through this area.
Yeah, so obviously it's a good time. I mean, especially for the Guthrie family. Like, if you're Savannah, it's good to know that, 4 months later, there are people that are still actively looking for her mother. The weird thing about this, so Pima County, who I don't know how much faith people have in the Pima County Sheriff's Department, they put out a statement yesterday saying that they are aware of this report, but that they have not been contacted by any Mexican authorities. So to me, I mean, I'm kind of looking at that as like they aren't at least publicly saying that they're looking at this as legit.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is we don't know the nature. This organization has not said anything more about the tip, where it came from, or the exact language that was used in this tip, and all that makes a difference.
This organization, so they
and this is a volunteer organization.
It's a volunteer organization. They specialize in finding missing people in Mexico. It is interesting because I know it was a huge working theory when she disappeared. Obviously, Tucson and where she disappeared from, very close to the Mexican border. There was a lot of theories that
she had been
taken to Mexico. So it is good that someone, like a volunteer effort down there, is still actively looking for, getting tips, which, I mean, it's been 4 months.
I think what would be fortifying really for the Guthrie family is that if the FBI were involved, or even the Pima County Sheriff's Department, but they didn't get this tip, but I would hope that the organization is sharing the information with the FBI, at least on this tip. And I think that's what people, at least in this country, will be really anxious to know, is what does the FBI, and we've reached out trying to find out if they are involved in any way in this search. At this point, we do not believe so, that the FBI is involved.
Based on Pima County's statement, they're definitely not involved.
Pima County is not. And when they say they're aware, I don't know if that means they just read the report, or if they've actually been in communication with.
Usually what happens is when the report goes out, all these reporters who have been working on the story then reach out to Pima to try to get more information. So they clearly got inundated with that, which is why they had to release a public statement.
Right. So, what I also want to know from this organization is the graves that they did find. Now, certainly this is an area, as you can see, it's kind of desert scrub area. Is it an area where the cartels might have left victims? Certainly. And maybe that's what they're referring to when they say that they found, I think they said
they found 25 unmarked graves, which, I mean, that is crazy in itself. And obviously it doesn't seem like any of these that they found has any evidence that it's Nancy's.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I've never been to, it's Nogales, right? Nogales, Mexico?
Yeah.
That's apparently where they're searching.
Yeah, very remote area, but this effort is underway. They are still searching right now, and obviously if there's anything, we will have more information about that. But really, the key is we got to find out if the FBI finds this to be credible.
Hi, I'm Lexi from New York, and I agree. I think once we hear that the FBI is involved, it does make it credible, but also those people seem like they know what they've been doing. So if they have a tip, I think it's a good thing.
It's good they got the tip. The problem is, and I say this from a place of, early on in this investigation, there were a lot of tips and information that were coming into our office. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's legit. And without seeing what they got, it's hard to tell. But you're right. It is good that they are actually acting on it. Well, it's not as if Taylor Swift hasn't had a pretty busy week as it is, but she topped it all off with an incredible honor for her career, becoming the youngest woman ever inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame last night in New York City. Quite an honor for her. And when she was inducted, Steven Spielberg was the person to induct her, which seemed very odd. Steven Spielberg, as far as I know, has never written a single song in his life, has done incredible movies. So why is he the person they selected to induct her into the Songwriters Hall of Fame? Well, Taylor explained during her speech.
I want to begin by thanking the person who introduced and inducted me tonight. He thinks that this is the first time he has inducted me into something, but what he may not be taking into consideration is that through his decades of spellbinding storytelling, Steven Spielberg has unknowingly inducted me and countless others into his sacred club of expansive world building. Because of examples like Steven's, I trusted my imagination, regardless of if it was taking me somewhere new and uncharted. And then every time I dreamed something up, I wanted to do everything humanly possible to be able to play it for you.
So that makes sense. She connected the dots there. By the way, I think we got a good taste there of why her speech was roughly 20 minutes long.
Yep.
She had a lot to say, a lot of people to thank. Steven Spielberg obviously inspiring her as a storyteller,
Yep.
which is what she does in her songs, and a fitting honor for her.
Totally. And a lot of family showed up to support her because
As you'd expect, yeah.
Yeah, in the audience, Travis was there along with his dad, Big Ed. His mom, Donna, was there. And then, of course, Taylor's parents, both Scott and Andrea, were there, all hanging out.
I expected her parents to be there.
But
I wasn't
his
so sure about
parents-
Travis because he's been at training camp.
Yep, he wasn't at the Toy Story premiere, and then he wasn't with
At
her
the Knicks game,
recently at the Knicks game. So a lot of people were like, oh, where is he? He's been busy, obviously. He does still have a job of his own.
Right.
But did come out to support her, and I think people were just loving the full family affair because just in a couple weeks, they're all going to be walking down the aisle together and doing, the mom and son dance and all those things. So it was just a really cute, almost like
And he got there like at the last minute, right? I thought everyone was there, and then Travis came in late.
Totally.
Which I'm sure made the fans go crazy.
Of course, of course. By the way, a lot of breadcrumbs coming out of this for the fans. Remember how we did the story, Charles, that people believe, or not even believe, we did the story that a lot of people that got the invite to Taylor's wedding are people that just kind of cross paths with her. Of course, she's going to have like major celebrities there that are her friends.
Yes.
But like people that scored invites are also people that just kind of had small impacts with her and Travis. Steven Spielberg, a lot of Swifties believe he scored an invite to the wedding, and this is kind of like a soft launch that he's
Of their
going to be
relationship?
there, of their friendship. So, yeah, I mean, I guess
would think, look,
only time will tell.
The glowing words she had to say about him in her speech, I would imagine that he probably got an invitation as well. By the way, there was something else that happened during the induction that I think this is a prime example of how people see like 10 seconds and then they repost it on social media and it turns into a whole thing. When she was walking in, she stopped on the red carpet and spoke to Jimmy Jam, who was already in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. I think he was inducted in 2017 or 18, but they had a little conversation, and we're gonna show you the video that was posted online, and then everyone started, and I think these are Taylor's haters, yes, she does have them, who thought, oh, look, she blew off a legend like Jimmy Jam based on this video, but that's not what happened. So that got posted, and everyone said, oh my God, she was so dismissive. I don't want to talk to you. It's not what happened. The full context, which they rarely give you online, they had been talking for about 2 minutes.
Yep. In fact, she actually pointed to him from the red carpet for him to come join and take photos, and they were
photos
hugging.
with her, and Somber was out there also, and they all took photos together. So they spent several minutes together, and then at the very end of it, you hear her say that. And what I'm told by someone who was standing right nearby, what they were talking about was her crazy week that she'd been at the Toy Story 5 premiere, and they talked about the Randy Newman moment, then at the Knicks game, and now tonight. And she was just saying, God, I'm exhausted. I feel like I'm not going to be able to have conversation with people.
Which adds up because she did mention at the event that she was losing her voice from screaming at the Knicks game. Right. So that all does make sense.
Exactly. So there's the full context of what happened.
Hi, I'm Jada from Philadelphia, and I want to start off by saying congratulations to Taylor for getting inducted into the Writers Hall of Fame. This is also one of Taylor's best looks. I will say Taylor sometimes appears as though her outfits could be a little bit more age appropriate, and I think she really nailed it on this one. With the whole family affair, it's great to see Taylor and Travis's relationship. I can't wait to see the wedding content. But as a devout Eagles fan, it breaks my heart to know that she is switched over to the Chiefs. So
come on, you're still holding on to that?
I will forever hold on to that. Phillies fan will forever hold on to that.
God, I mean, there's a lot of things you can hold against her, but she's marrying the guy. Come on.
Coming up.
Jeff Metcalf, who is Austin's father, has not been able to speak about this case for more than a year now. There was a gag order, but since the case is over and Karmelo has been sentenced, that has been lifted. And last night, Jeff Metcalf decided he wanted to get a lot of things off his chest.
I got a new name for Mello. How about Watermelon Felon?
Be right back.
The father of Austin Metcalf, who is the young man who was stabbed to death by Karmelo Anthony. As you know, earlier this week, Karmelo was convicted of murder, sentenced to 35 years in prison, and his family has vowed that they are going to appeal this. They've actually filed notice with the court already that they're going to appeal Karmelo's family. But Jeff Metcalf, who is Austin's father, has not been able to speak about this case for more than a year now. There was a gag order that was put in place by the judge, but since the case is over and Karmelo has been sentenced, that has been lifted. And last night, Jeff Metcalf decided he wanted to get a lot of things off his chest. Spoke for about 3 hours. Parts of it were just him talking about Austin and the kind of relationship he had with his son. And a lot of it was an aggressive attack, or he would say rebuttal, to things that have been said about him for the last year. He talked about Karmelo's parents, called them out for their lack of parenting. He talked about other supporters of Karmelo Anthony, accused them of committing crimes themselves. And you're going to hear in this soundbite we're going to play, one of the things he says comes off as incredibly racist. Now, the full context is Jeff Metcalf is saying to Karmelo Anthony supporters that, you guys have been trashing me for a year. I have not been able to respond. I've heard you say things about me. I heard you say that I'm a racist when I have done the exact opposite and said that race was never part of this case. He did say that in court. That is true. But when you hear the things that he said on this live stream, it's very clear that race will now be a part of this case. If it wasn't already, and it has been, this is only going to fan the flames. This is Jeff Metcalf responding to the people who called him a racist.
Let me make something racist up so y'all can go viral. I got a new name for Mello, okay? Because he was such this little boy y'all were trying to portray. How about Watermelon Felon? How's that one strike you? I hope he enjoyed his first night in that cell last night, because he's going to have many nights to think about what he did. Oh, there was no black jurors. You know why? Because you can't be unbiased, you dumb. If you answer the question, I can't send a black man to jail because he's black, you're not getting on the jury. You're so unintelligent, you can't even fill out a form correctly. Hey, Kevin Hayes, you liar. Day after it happened, how many lies did you sit and type up on your keyboard, you big keyboard warrior? You a big tough man. You still live in Baton Rouge? Mr. Squeaky Clean. He's the only one in your family without a damn record. I guess that's something to brag about in your culture. You people hang your hat on the dumbest I've ever seen.
Wow. Kevin Hayes, we should say, is a relative of Karmelo Anthony's, who had pointed out, in his estimation, that Karmelo was only defending himself against a bunch of kids that jumped him, and that those kids had actually stolen some of his belongings, had shattered his phone, and obviously Jeff Metcalf disagrees with
that position.
With his uncle, with Karmelo's uncle, and
yeah, I think
went there with him.
Yeah, I mean, two things can be true, right? I think you could be grieving your son's death, and you can also
clearly doing that. And
yes, and you could also be saying pretty racist things, which he is saying.
You know, I wanted to, and I watched probably an hour and 15 minutes of his live stream.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, you want to give him a chance, right? And I get he was not able to speak because of the gag order. But to respond, like, for the first thing you're going to say in a year, to be that
racist.
Well, now it is. And listen, he did say in court, he stood up in court during sentencing, during the victim's
said race was
statement.
not.
He said race was not part of this.
Yeah.
And lawyers on both sides had said that earlier during the trial. But when
It's
you say that,
hard
that is
to-
impossible now. He is
making it very clear what's on his mind at the moment. And yes,
By the
I
way,
mean,
the watermelon felon, which is freaking
Awful.
disgusting
Yes.
and awful, he set that up saying, oh, I'm going to make up something so that this is what you guys think of me. That's one thing. But then later, not making up something, he talks about slavery and that why do black people complain about slavery and it's not our fault. Some other people brought you here and sold you to us.
bringing
Like,
up stereotypes, bringing up other racist
Right.
remarks. Yeah, I don't know what he's
he did not
accomplishing.
help. He did not help his case at all. For anyone who wants to just look at the facts of this case and try to make a decision based on the facts,
It's a lot
he
harder
just
to do that.
completely clouded that now.
Yes.
Because it seems like he made himself seem like a racist, and people will take that and say that that's what you taught your kids.
Correct.
And it's a
And
shame.
now that also, based on that, it brings into questions on what happened the day of and everything. So yeah, I mean, it definitely adds a layer of.
Right, and what he said about there not being black jurors and.
Yes.
Yeah, this case is not calming down, and I think you're going to continue to see protests. Anytime that there's an appeal being heard in the court, there are going to be people protesting outside the court. This is going to go on
for a little bit
more.
Yep.
Hey, my name is Donovan Smith. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, man. And this case has been about racism from the jump. It's been about race. You have a young black man and a young white man in this situation. So people being surprised that they're bringing up race, I don't understand that part. But as far as Jeff Metcalf, I'm a father of 3 sons as well. And if this happened to one of my sons, I would also respond via social media. Now, I wouldn't respond with racism because I'm not racist, but I would respond very angrily and very harsh, especially if I couldn't speak on it for a year. So in that part, I understand it. But as far as the racist remarks, I'm not surprised. It's just the world that we live in.
Yeah, I mean, and I know what you're saying, that that you feel like race was a part of this from the start. And I've been looking for this, trying to find testimony where, as far as I know, and correct me if you have other information, that the actual, during the incident where Austin and Karmelo are facing off, nobody says there were racial epithets being hurled or anything, correct? But you
Correct.
think it was about race just because Karmelo's black and Austin was white?
And that's just the world that we live in, unfortunately. So it was race from the beginning.
Okay.
Coming up.
Well, some really big goings on at the White House this weekend. Our TMZ DC crew got Dana White.
What are you going to do if it rains?
We're gonna have fights. Be right back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Donnell Rawlings took TMZ DC on a city tour.
You know what the irony of this is? A black man takes a white person to the White House.
It's TMZ.
Well, some really big goings on at the White House this weekend. Maybe the biggest birthday party Donald Trump has ever had. Of course, talking about the UFC event. There's been so much made about the claw, the big octagon and stage and the roof above it, the lighting grid. that has been out on the lawn there.
Yeah, it's surreal to see all that on the White House South Lawn, Charles.
So the fight goes down Sunday, June 14th. It is formerly known as Flag Day, but now probably more properly known as the president's birthday. So for his 80th birthday, they have a whole slate of UFC matches going down on Sunday. The big question has been all along, once they started setting up the claw, as people are calling it, what happens if it rains? Because it's June in DC, it's hot, it's steamy, thunderstorms are just a normal thing. And there are storms actually in the forecast for Sunday.
Sunday night, Charles, I looked at right when the event starts, which would be 8 o'clock Eastern, there was an 80% chance of rain. Obviously, that could change now in these days here, but
weather changes on the East Coast. Not like what we have out here. So what will they do? Well, our TMZ DC crew got the man who would know, Dana White, on what are their plans for weather.
I'm excited about the fights in a couple nights.
Me too. I'll be even more excited if the weather holds up.
What are you going to do if it rains?
We're going to have fights.
You're going to fight
Nothing's
during
going to stop this. It can snow. Anything can happen.
What about a bee infestation?
That's great. We're going.
We're going.
To the bee infestation.
All right. Cheers, mate. See you there.
Why does Charlie like a month ago, he said to me, he's like, what if they have a bee infestation? What bee infestation?
We're not in Australia, Charlie. Although it did make me think, not to get, because we were Yankees fans, but with Jabba Chamberlain and the bugs. Remember how that?
We had the bugs. Look, there's not going to be snow, and there's not going to be a bee infestation.
Here's what I'll say, Charles. I know what Dana's saying, and I think it's wishful thinking. But if there's lightning, they're stopping the fights. You can't.
You can't do it in lightning. Hurt. If it's just raining, I have a feeling that they will look at it as it's just going to make for a more. It's going to be a better show.
It's like Prince and Purple Rain in the rain.
The question, The question is, but what does the president? Where the president's sitting has to be very well covered, right?
Well, I don't know if he wants that hair getting wet.
Exactly.
That wind blowing. I mean, it could be a scene.
Wouldn't that be a thing for his 80th birthday? By the way, there was a lawsuit that had been filed trying to shut this down.
Two Virginia residents had asked for a restraining order. A bunch of arguments they made. They basically said that the claw was ugly, and because of that the event should be.
Well, I think they were saying that it was stopping people from getting to other.
And that the president was enriching himself, and his friends were enriching. A bunch of claims. Bottom line is the DC district judge said no. There's no real harm here to you. No restraining order will be granted. The lawsuit still exists, though, but it's going to happen on Sunday. The fights are going off as scheduled.
Yeah, when they run into court on Monday,
who cares?
Too late, too little, too late. And just to see how, as an example of how important the administration is viewing this event, this is what the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, had to say about it.
I want to make a couple points. People may ask, well, why UFC? We had this deal with the NFL too, but why UFC? So I have a couple reasons why that I think is very powerful. Here's the first. The first is America, and the ideal behind America is the impossible. That someone tells you you can't do that, or that's never going to happen. The whole idea of America is audacious, and that's the foundation. But then beyond that, everything we've done since then as a nation, time and again, how can you achieve some of the things? We're going to put a man on the moon. When President Kennedy announced that we were going to put a man on the moon and return him safely to the earth, no one thought that was possible, and we did it. We are a nation founded on doing what no one else dared to do and no one else aspired to do. And at some level, that's what this whole company, what UFC has been.
Okay, that was great praise for the UFC. I'm sure Dana White appreciates it. But to compare this UFC
Freedom
event
250, one
to
small
the
step
moon
for
landing,
man, one enormous leap for mankind.
Okay, that takes the record for hyperbole.
Yeah, I'm Andrea. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. And I feel that with Marco Rubio comparing this whole UFC thing to the moon landing, is like Terry Cruz's version of idiocracy, of how America's going to be so great, even though we've been pouring Gatorade on top of our plants for like the last year and a half. It's so idiocracy coded. It's so funny. And hearing Dana White talk about how rain, sleet, shine, or snow, we're going to be out there mud wrestling on the White House lawn is extremely laughable.
Well, mud wrestling, that would be interesting if they actually just did it out on the lawn and made it mud wrestling instead of being in a covered octagon. Why, stranger things have happened. It could happen.
Coming up.
It looks like Nick Reiner will have a new attorney soon because it looks like he's going to get that money from the trust fund that he had asked the court to advance this money to him. The reason he wants that money is so that he can rehire Alan Jackson as his attorney.
Be right back.
Welcome back to TMZ Live. It looks like Nick Reiner will have a new attorney soon because it looks like he's going to get that money from the trust fund that he had asked the court to advance this money to him. Says it's his money that his parents had left in a trust for him, a trust that was not connected. This is not inheritance in the means of when they die, he's supposed to get this money, which initially made everybody feel like, if he allegedly killed them, how can he get that money? This was a trust that was set up where Nick Reiner would get the money when he turned 30, and then another amount when he's 35. It was the schedule. And for some reason, he didn't get the money when he's 30. But now there's an indication from the trustee that they are willing to forward this money to Nick Reiner. And he said the reason he wants that money is so that he can rehire Alan Jackson as his attorney.
Yeah, he apparently no longer wants this public defender defending him. He wants a high-powered defense attorney like Alan Jackson to step into his case. There's been indications that he's, not guilty by reason of insanity, but that's still a difficult case to prove up and end up in that result, if that's what he ends up doing. So this will release the money. The trustee, it sounds like, is saying the terms are the terms, and he filed these documents saying you don't really have discretion to whether to release me the money. Nick said, at 30, I was supposed to fall into this amount of money. At 35, it's a little different. There are some strings attached. He's not 35 yet, but at 30, he should have a pot of money that he should be able to use how he
So
sees
does
fit.
the trustee, who is a friend of the family, is that my indication?
It seems like, someone who is associated in some way with
Did
them.
she explain why Nick did not get the money when he was 30?
I don't think we got into sort of why he didn't get it at 30, but speculation is that he maybe lived with his parents at that point in time and didn't need the pot of cash. He was sort of under their roof anyway. Right. There's no reason to make the formal exchange of money or the transfer of money to him. But now that he's locked up, his parents are dead, he does need the money for a lawyer. So, and he is entitled to it under the trust.
So the trustee has said, I'm not going to stand in the way of this.
At least, it sounds like, at least with respect to the money that he should have gotten at 30. With 35 and how the terms of that pan out.
And he's 32
I think he's 32.
32, yeah.
So there is other money that he will be entitled to that comes out under the trust when he's 35, but that initial pot of money they should have gotten, it seems like the trustee is saying, yeah, that's what the trust says. They have some discretion around the margins, but not a tremendous amount.
My name is Hey Brucey on TikTok. I'm calling in from Los Angeles, and this is a really devastating story. I mean, the only thing that's crazier than the way that we lost Rob and Michelle Reiner, to me, is the fact that their son is using their money in his murder defense. And I want to be clear, if this was me, I am not Casper the Friendly Ghost. I am haunting you like The Conjuring. You will not eat, you will not sleep. You're not going to find peace in a corner of this world because, honestly, The Grudge has nothing on a black man with a bone to pick.
I hear what you're saying about that. And again, this money was money that they had intended for him to get when he was 30. We don't yet understand why he's not getting it. By the way, about the amount of money, we haven't mentioned that. The amount of money in the fund completely is a very large sum.
I think that's a big sum. I think it's around $1.5 million, that first tranche of money. I think that's what...
That's what he would get that's what he was supposed to get when he turned 30?
Ryan, do you remember the amount of money in the fund? I don't.
The total in the fund was
amount.
about $1.5 million. We don't know exactly how much he will get from this first release, but it's a lot of money. And by the way, he's going to need a lot of money for this case.
Alan Jackson is not cheap.
But as Alan Jackson said to us, it's not just his fees, it's the experts and all the tests and things that he's going to need to put on this defense.
That's absolutely right.
All right, actress Carrie Coon is speaking about something that is the opposite of what we've all heard about White Lotus. Not only heard about White Lotus, but seen. That there are a lot of actors who are early in their careers, and they get a big boost from being on White Lotus. 3 seasons that have gone by, you've seen a lot of people, including Sydney Sweeney, get a boost in their careers. But Carrie Coon says she did not get that. This is what she said during the Hollywood Reporters Actors Roundtable.
And as far as like what the White Lotus does for careers, there were a lot of think pieces written about the show and about the women, and maybe people started watching Gilded Age and brought some attention to that show, and we got more fans, blah, 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 yada, yada. I haven't seen the material results of that yet. I think I'm like top of the B list now. And so I'm probably like, instead of like the 7th person you come to, I'm like 4th. I'm like 4th.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, I still have to fight. Like, I'm gonna have to fight for big movies and stuff still.
Yep.
I'm still getting, what am I getting? I'm getting unfinanced indie scripts. That's what I'm getting. And it's probable that if the Gilded Age were to go away, I would probably get another television job. That's probable because of my career, right? But like, it's not like for me, I haven't like leveled up in the way that you think of when you think of like what you're going through.
That is odd. We don't normally, I'm sure there are a lot of actors who feel that way.
Yeah.
They don't typically, they're not usually that open about it.
That's true. And I mean, also, I think no one really understands the exclusivity of being an A-list actor. Like, everyone thinks they're a much bigger pool because you hear about them so much, but A-list actors are really hard to come by.
So your point being, it is an upper echelon that not every actor should think that they're gonna, just because you don't make it to A-list doesn't mean you don't have a successful, Carrie Coon has a very successful career.
Absolutely.
And even she would admit that.
I mean, she's made appearances in some of the biggest TV shows and movies in the world, like in the world. So, and that's nothing to laugh at. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason the A-list actors are the faces of those franchises, and they're few and far between.
So you're basically saying,
What?
shut up and act?
No! That is not what I'm saying.
Hi, I'm Carmen from Chicago, and I can definitely feel for Carrie because these days it seems like Hollywood is casting the same 5 people over and over again and everything, even though the audiences definitely want new faces. But I also agree that being a big blockbuster actor isn't the only version of success. Like, there are definitely just spaces for these cult favorite actors, and maybe that's where Carrie fits in, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, Carrie's had an incredible career. I don't think anyone would even call it like that she's in cult classics. She's been in very big productions that people love and watch. But obviously she's not getting what she thought it was gonna be, but maybe it's hard when you're the actor to understand what you're thinking is not always the same as what the audience is thinking. I think the audience thinks Carrie Coon is very successful. So hopefully they get on the same page, the audience and Carrie.
Hopefully.
Coming up.
Ariana Grande's got some big beef with the Trump administration, specifically ICE, because her music wound up as the soundtrack to one of their promotional online videos. She had some strong words for the White House.
Be right back.
Well, Ariana Grande's got some big beef with the Trump administration, specifically ICE, because her music wound up as the soundtrack to one of their promotional online videos. Safe to say that is not the kind of promotion that Ariana was looking for her tour, which she just launched, and her new album, which is coming out. But she definitely does not want ICE using her song, that song Bye from her last album.
This has happened before with other artists.
It happens all the time, and I don't think it's by accident. But she had some strong words for the White House, which was stop using my music immediately. And she said, please don't ever use my music in relation to this barbaric, inhumane, heinous nonsense. Blank ICE.
And the White House actually responded, and they're basically like standing by it. The video's still up. They're responding using her same language. They're saying that what's actually barbaric and inhumane and heinous are the criminal illegal aliens who have injured and murdered innocent American citizens. So
right, that kind of has been their response every time an artist complains about this.
Right.
It's interesting that it's still up. So the video's up, they've taken the audio off of it now. Regardless of the publisher, there's a publishing company that they will pay to use the music. But if the songwriter says, I don't want you to use it, well, then you have to stop. And I think they know exactly what they're doing. It gets more attention for it. It's like they're drawing the artist out to make that comment because it draws more attention to whatever video that they put up. And they know that Ariana Grande is against ICE. What was the award show she went in where everyone was wearing the pins that said ICE out? She wore it to the Golden Globes, I think it was. And so they certainly know what her stance is. And I think that's why they use the music.
Assuming they are also thinking she's not going to sue them if they're paying for the rights
They know
to
that
play
she
the
can't
song.
sue them, and she's not going to go through the expense of that. She's going to make a statement. They're going to make a statement. The video gets more attention.
It blows it up even more, yeah.
This is, I won't say it's 3D chess. All chess is 3D. It's definitely not 4D chess, but yeah, they know what they're doing.
Hi, my name is Alexandria. I'm from the DMV area, and I'm honestly not surprised that Ariana was pissed off over this. This is very on brand for her. I mean, she even celebrated during her Sweetener documentary that Trump got impeached. So she's never been a fan of the administration, has never had a problem speaking out against them. This is completely on brand and consistent for her. And yeah, I think she's absolutely right.
Do you think they're doing it on purpose?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it brings attention because one of the top things I saw on Twitter last night was Ariana Grande's pissed off over her music being. This is absolutely just to gain more attention because they've done it with, I think, Taylor Swift, maybe Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah.
I know a few other artists, but not all of them speak out. Taylor Swift didn't say anything. Olivia Rodrigo did. Either way, it brings in conversation and controversy and gets people talking about it.
They've been doing this since the first Trump administration.
Coming up.
Turns out this is a pretty momentous day. How long has it been now that we've been talking about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's legal war? And now it is finally over.
Be right back.
Turns out this is a pretty momentous day. How long has it been now that we've been talking about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's legal war? It is a year and a half. Almost exactly. And now it is finally over. It is, well, it's mostly over.
It's mostly over.
Because the last thing that was remaining was that Blake was going after Justin for damages based on a California law that allowed her to go after him because he had basically publicly questioned someone who was accusing him of sexual harassment in the workplace, which
So
you can't do.
She and Justin entered the settlement agreement a while back, which allowed her to seek these damages. It's punitive damages and attorney's fees. The judge today came down and said, you're not going to be, no punitive damages, but you are still going to be entitled to your attorney's fees. And I got to tell you, we don't know the number. It's going to be in the multiple millions and millions of dollars.
Yes, because it's been going on for so long, and there have been, I don't know how many thousands of pages of documents that they've.
If it's not over 10 million, I'm surprised, honestly. And not only that,
but that's interesting. So she's going to go so she'll get some legal fees.
Yeah.
But not getting the punitive damages seems like the bigger, like that would have been the bigger number. And I know that sounds weird when the legal fees
and
are. And
she doesn't get any of the legal fees, right? Except it's going to reimburse her for what she's already paid out in legal fees. So she does get that. But courts never give 100%. She's going to submit all of her legal bills for the last however long this is going on, year and a half. She's going to submit all of her legal bills and say, I want 100%. Courts I've never seen it that they give 100%.
Pay all of it.
Never. So they'll chop it down by 20, 30, 40%, and that's the bill that Justin will be stuck with.
So better than nothing, but not a big victory
she
for her.
She still financially is out of pocket for a lot of damage, a lot of costs.
So at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, who would you say the winner is?
Two losers. The lawyers are the winners. That's
the lawyers are definitely the winners.
The parties both lost. They've suffered reputationally and paid a huge amount of money to lawyers, and Justin's going to have to pay even more.
Hey, Dane Drebin with Gig Harbor, Washington. I got to agree with him. There are no winners in this. I feel like we've been living through this legal battle for our entire adult lives. Eventually, for your own sanity, you just got to move on. I mean, what money is worth just dealing with this all the time, right?
You would think that at this point, and the fact that she's not going to end up getting any damages at any point for anything in this case, I think Justin would say that makes him the winner. But again, as Jason pointed out, he's got to pay a lot of legal fees, and nobody's reimbursing that for him. What else do you guys want to talk about?
Henry. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and Taylor Swift's appearance at the Songwriters Hall of Fame last night was absolutely amazing. It was so sweet. You could tell that her spirit was really there. She was the youngest person ever inducted into the thing. And whether you're a fan of Taylor Swift or not, you have to admit that she has like a huge impact on songwriters all around the world right now. And, you know, seeing her grow has just been absolutely inspiring for me as well.
Yeah, that's the truth. If you don't love her music, you have to respect the catalog and the success she's had. Obviously, there are people who, millions and millions of people, we saw them all on the tour for 2 years, who love her and are inspired by her music. So, you know, it's weird to think about this because she is so young, but 15, 20 years from now, there'll be people getting inducted, and she will be the person that they want to induct them because she inspired them. It's this whole circle of life that happens when you get old. One more.
Hi, I'm Kayla Sproul from Philadelphia. I think seeing Ariana Grande stand up to this administration was definitely empowering. I can imagine how it feels as an artist to create music that's reflective of your own personal experience and have it twisted and manipulated in this way. And in a time where it's easier to just stay silent, I'm really glad that she was able to speak up.
Yeah, I mean, what has to happen, the artist has to say it for them to take it down. But again, it does get the administration more publicity, so it is a double-edged sword.
Coming up.
Well, the FIFA World Cup is underway, started officially in Mexico yesterday, but Team USA has their first game this evening, and I think that's probably exactly why the timing was right to give David Beckham his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame today.
Be right back.
On the TMZ Celebrity Tour, we've seen huge stars like Kevin Hart, Ben Affleck, The Rock, and Jamie Foxx. So head to TMZTour.com and book your tickets for the TMZ Celebrity Tour.
Well, the FIFA World Cup is underway, started officially in Mexico yesterday, but Team USA has their first game this evening, and I think that's probably exactly why the timing was right to give David Beckham, I know he's a British soccer star, but he played here in LA, so he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame today. And his good buddy, Tom Cruise, was there to say a few words about David's accomplishments.
He bent the ball around the defenders, over the wall, off the top post, and into the net. And this wasn't luck. It was a skill he spent thousands of hours perfecting, one that would inspire the film Bend It Like Beckham and inspire generations around the world to watch and play the game.
Victoria was there, of course, but no Brooklyn Beckham. If anyone thought there was going to be a big family reunion for this, it did not happen. But, you know, good for David Beckham, great honor, long overdue. By the way, lots of athletes, more than 20 athletes, have their star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Didn't realize that. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.